Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Modeling Time with me, Brian Banna. Well, sorry to say, but another project has hit a brick wall. And until I can figure out how to remedy the problem, I'll be moving on to something else. Sorry to do this, but I can't do anything about it right now. I mean, I think I know what the fix would be, but I just don't feel like doing it because it requires a lot of milling and fiddling and stuff like that, and I just don't feel like doing that right now. Maybe later I'll pick it back up, but not right now. So let me explain to you what's going on. So let me move the camera over here and I'll show you. All right. So today I was like, man, I'm going to get the trucks done, I'll get the frame done, I'll get everything in, I'll test it and move on to the shell. So you can see I got the trucks weathered, I got the fuel tank weathered and everything down there all done. I got the sanding hoses hooked up and stuff like that. And I got all the electronics in. Then I programmed it. I put the F-unit sound in it and it sounds great. So I know that power is going from the wheels to the decoder because I was able to download the file. And the wheel wipers are making positive contact with the wheels, so everything's working there. So when I first put it on the track, and I'm getting sound out of the speaker, so that works just fine. So when I first gave it power to go forward or reverse, it just sat there. And the flywheels didn't move, the drive shaft didn't move, and I was wiggling it around, and I saw the drive shaft move just maybe like not even a eighth of a turn. So like, oh, so I wonder if the motor's bad. So I got the other motor out and I tested this motor, and it, as you can see here, it works just fine. Let me get it going again. So you can see this motor works great. Well, I took the motor out of here and it works just as good as this motor. I mean, it spins real nicely. So I followed it up. So, okay, so I know that the wheel wipers are getting power to the board because I wouldn't have been able to program it if it wasn't. And I wouldn't be getting sound out of it if it wasn't. So that's not the issue. So I disconnected the motor and I took all this stuff apart and I took the motor out and I tested it, and like I said, it ran just as well as this one. So then I put the motor back in and I connected it to the trucks. Oh, before I connected the trucks, I just hand spun the drive shafts. There was no binding and nothing causing it to, stick or anything like that. So I put the motor back in, put everything back in, but I didn't solder these motor wires on yet. So I connected the battery to the motor wires and the motor started spinning, but I was holding it up in the air too. So that was working just fine. So I let it spin for a while, maybe needed to work in the gears and stuff like that. Then I put it on the table like that, and the wheels would spin a bit, but not great. So I picked it up again and it would start spinning really well. So I thought, oh, maybe it's just because it's on the glass and it's not on rails or something like that. So I took it over to the test track, put it on the test track, and it just sat there. So I gave it a little push. I put it on full throttle. I gave it a little push and it started moving a little bit. And nothing like what full throttle would be. It didn't even make it to the end of a piece and a half of flex track or that Bachmann track, one full section. Was it 2 feet or something like that? Or 18 inches? Didn't even make it to the end of that. So I kept pushing it back and forth and stuff like that, and it would move, but this is how fast it would move at full throttle. Just like that. And I was like, come on, it's got to be something else. So I picked it up, and the wheels, of course, stopped because it's not packed, but I put it back down on the track, and it wouldn't move. And I wiggled it around, and it started moving a little bit and then stopped. And I've come to the conclusion that these frames are too heavy for that motor to
turn the gears and move the wheels. Because when I had it on the battery by itself, lifted up, it moved those wheels just fine and very fast. So I don't know what to do. I mean, I guess I could go in there and mill out the frame and then put a Kato motor in there. That would probably help a lot, but that's a lot of milling, and right now I just don't feel like doing that. I just want to get a model done. And that's setting me back quite a few days engineering all that and stuff like that. So I'm at the point where it's like, okay, I got to move on to something else. I got to stop tinkering around with these old ancient models and work with the newer stuff that's more reliable, like a Kato or a Kato Stewart or a Kato Atlas or something like that. I wish it was different, but I'm probably going to have to put a Kato motor in there and do that, because these motors just are not strong enough to move. This is 1 pound 4 ounces, this frame right here, the way it sits as it is. So right now it's going to sit for a while. I'm really disappointed in that because I really liked this model and I really wanted to get it going, but I just don't feel like doing all that milling and all that designing and all that engineering to get it to work. So right now, this one's going into the storage bin or onto the side until I feel like getting in there, and I got to figure out what the next project is that I want to work on. So sorry for that, guys. Well, I was going to take a step back and think about this and maybe give it a go and see if it'll work out. Because it would be kind of nice to have a Kato motor in there. It has more torque to it, so it'd probably work. As you can see, by itself, the Kato motor fits in there. I could get a milling bit, and I could use a straight milling bit and cut this wider, and then get the ball end in mill and just get in there and cut the radius for the Kato flywheels. Now I could take these flywheels off and put them on the Kato shafts, but I kind of would like the larger flywheels on the Kato shaft and stuff, so I would do that. But then, just as I was getting excited about doing that, I just found another problem, and which just totally killed this project the way it is, because it takes everything that I just did and throws it out the window. I'd have to go back to using the original side frames without adding the brake cylinders. So look at this. You see that brake cylinder right there? You see that step right there? Keeps the truck from swiveling. So that just took all the wind out of my sails. So, like I was just saying, if I want to do one of these things, I'll just get a Genesis, strip it or whatever, or Highliner, or just screw the FP7s and do a Stewart Kato F3 or F7 or something like that. So this project, instead of going on the shelf, is now officially dead. The only way it would be revived is if I wanted to redo the trucks and just leave these brake cylinders the way they are and leave the truck the way it is and just go with it. But I did all that work and it's just like, it just takes all the wind out of your sails. So another project to the wayside. Am I ever going to finish something? Who knows? But I am getting freight cars done, but I don't have anything to pull them. So anyway, I'm working on something. Actually, I am working on something else, and it's a more reliable model. I've built them before, and I know they work. So whatever I'm going to do to it, it's not as much as I did to the other models that actually work and operate. I have 2 of them that operate. So I'm looking into this, seeing how I feel about it, and it's the death of this project is probably pushing me into that project.
Well, I let this project sit for about a week maybe, and trying to figure out how I want to proceed with it. And as it sits right now, it's in a box and it's on the shelf, and I'm moving on to another project. It's not fully dead, and I will come back to it. But the motor that came with the model definitely doesn't have enough torque to move itself. So it will most likely be a Cotto model that I'll put into it. Cotto motor that I'll put into it. They have pretty good torque to them, and the locomotive will probably operate much, much better. But to do that will require a substantial amount of milling, which I'm no stranger to, but I just don't want to do it right now. And I can probably stick with the trucks that I have, but you saw where the brake cylinder was keeping the truck from swiveling because it was up against the step into the cab. So most likely, I would have to cut that piston and actuator arm off of the brake cylinder in order for work. That's why those truck side frames are the way they are. They have the brake cylinder on them, but they don't have the actuator arm. And the stock trucks, the ones that come with the model, that's why they're that way. So maybe I can still use those trucks. I just have to modify the brake cylinders so that they allows the truck to swivel. If I can't do that, I can keep the guts of the trucks and the gear towers, but I can't use the side frame, so I'll just have to redo the side frame. So as it stands, that model is on the shelf. It's been shelved, but it's not out. If I can get the motivation to revive it and do it, because I like the FP7. I like the looks of that model. I think it'll be fun to actually finish that one. And I did get the what do you call it? The laser cut windows for it, and they worked out great. So eventually that model will come back, and I'll pick this video up and stuff. In the meantime, I've already moved on to another project. Hopefully this one will finish. And so far everything is going good. Everything fits and such. And this is what it is. It is a Elco FA1M. It's got Cotto trucks on it. This is a Proto 2000 model. It's got Cotto trucks on it, and it has right now. Get this off of here. What's holding it on? Nothing. It's got a Cotto motor in it. I've got some 3D printed worm gear covers. And these were made for another project that I never even got off the ground. But I was able to modify them so that I didn't have to cut the frame, and they fit good. I had to modify the drive shaft, and I had to turn the flywheels down to get them to clear and stuff, and cut out in the middle for the motor. Now I do have a 3D printed design, or a 3D design of the motor cradle that will go in here. So right now it's ready for it to be sent to the printer and stuff. So I got to get that done. And once I get that done, then I can build the electronics on the inside. And believe me, with this motor down this far, there is gobs of room up here for speakers and stuff, and DCC boards. So that's what I have been working on. You'll hear all of this again if you watch that video, or the video that I'll start for this project. So thanks for watching. Sorry about the FP7 going to the wayside, but there's just too much design work that I need to do to it to continue. Probably about as much design work that I had to do this, but this was more exciting to me at the time, so I just jumped right into this. So anyway, again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video.